just your average everyday trucker, keeping it real. I'm your host, Chris Blodgett, and you're listening to Real Talk Tuesday. The topic this week: having goals, dreams, desires, wishes, etc., but not knowing exactly what those are. This is episode 194. Hey guys, welcome back. As always, I really appreciate you all hanging out with me tonight. To kind of go into that topic a little bit. Well, I'm out, of course, as always, I'm out here doing what I do. Ran a load to St. Louis, delivered that loaded container, and was loaded with a rental 53-footer, and basically dispatched back to Lenexa. Yesterday was interesting, actually. Well, this whole week has been interesting. So I got my DOT physical done on Friday. The current one was going to expire Tuesday night. Came in Monday, ran a load to, you guys, actually, I was on the last episode, kind of told you guys a little bit, I guess. They sent me up to Norfolk, Nebraska, whatever. And then Tuesday, I came in and they loaded me with, that day, I think I had a container, if I remember correctly. I had a container going to, or it might have been a pub, either a pub or a container. It was easy that. It was probably a pub, honestly. So, a loaded pub trailer going to St. Louis. And then, when I got down to St. Louis, of course I didn't have anything signed, so I'll go into the check-in, like, hey, what do you guys got going back to Lenexa? And they're like, well, we were going to assign something to you, but your flags by Lenexa for expired medical card. I'm like, well, I have my current one on me. I was like, if you guys need to make a copy, they're like, no, you need to call Lenexa. I'm like, oh, okay. So I was I called Lenexa and I was kind of explaining, like, what's going on, what do you need to do? I'm like, I'm trying to get dispatched to come back. They say that you guys need to fix something in the system to show that I'm current, that everything is up to date. I was on hold for a while until like a manager finally came on and he was like, yeah, can you take a picture of your current med card and here's my cell phone number, send it to me. I'm like, yeah, sure, okay, I was like, I can totally do that. By this point, I had gone back to the truck because my battery percentage was down there pretty low. So I was like, I'm gonna go back to the truck, plug in. That way, I'm not gonna die while I'm trying to talk to them or whatever. Got down there pretty early. Got down there like 10:40. So I was like trying to make a time. Figured get out of there about 11:10, 11:15. You know, after doing a 30. Hopefully get back home early. And after being on hold for a while, once the manager, he's like, yeah, I'm calling corporate and trying to get them to get this updated, so that way we can get you loaded back or whatever. 45 minutes or whatever. Finally, like it's like at this point it's like 12:30. At this point, he finally comes back. He was, yeah, unfortunately, this is not going to get taken care of tonight. There's nobody. Either nobody was working or the right people that they need to be able to take care of it weren't in until morning. So he's like, it's up to you. But your two options are you can bob till back, or you can wait. You can just wait there in St. Louis. I'm like, I'm not staying here. I was like, even if I'm not getting paid for it, I'm gonna leave and come back because I'd rather just drive back and go home. Since I don't know how long it would take for you guys to fix it or whatever. But then I called my boss, my manager or whatever. I was like, hey, how you doing, sir? He goes, well, probably not too good since you're calling me. I was like, yeah, apologies about that. I said, I'm stuck in St. Louis. He goes, this is about your med card, isn't it? I was like, yeah. He goes, fuck, okay. Hold on, let me make a phone call really quick. Okay. So I'm on hold for a few minutes. He comes back. He calls me back. He's like, yeah, the lady I talked to was a complete idiot. You know, like, didn't really achieve anything with her at all. He goes, who did you talk to? I was like, well, I have their cell phone number, but it was a manager. I didn't catch his name. I can give you his cell number, though, because I forwarded the copy of the med card to him. And he's like, well, hold on, they're calling me back. So, and he comes back. He goes, yeah, I'm going to have to take care of this, or try to work on this tomorrow. Go ahead and bobtail home or bobtail back. All right. So basically just threw my seatbelt on and I got out to make sure my airlines were back in the little mount or whatever. Because I had them initially laying on the catwalk because I was planning to hook them to another trailer, but hooked them up to the little, little mount or whatever to secure them up and took off. Basically bobtailed back to Kansas City instead of to Lenexa. Parked and came home. Got up that afternoon and I had to go pick up my daughter from work. So I was there like 2:30, 3 o'clock, and of course I was checking with my boss, like, so we still, how's it looking? He goes, they're still working on it. I'm like, okay. He goes, but definitely don't leave. He goes, I think you're gonna run tonight, but don't leave until I give you the green light. I'm like, okay. That would be appreciated because I don't want to drive into work only to drive home. You know, nice little 25-minute, gas burn without making money that day. But me and my daughter get home probably like 3:30, and I still hadn't heard from him. So I was like, well, screw it. I'm gonna take this opportunity and go ahead and like take a nice like hot shower to kind of de-stress a little bit. And then it's probably like 20 minutes or so. A little bit after 4, I was dressed and basically just like still looking at my phone, like, oh, still no message. And I was like, I told my daughter, I was like, I'm pretty sure by this point I'm probably not working because I have to be. It's like 30 minutes from here to Kansas City, and then it's 45 minutes to an hour to Lenexa to pick up the load. I got to pick up between 5 and 6, and it's already 4:30 right now. She's like, oh wow, yeah, you're probably not. As I'm telling her that, my manager messaged me, he goes, you're clear, go ahead, head in. I was like, is it okay if we pick it up pretty late? Because like it's gonna take me 30 minutes to get to Kansas City, and then 45 minutes or so to get to Lenexa. And then he was like, stay home. I was like, oh, okay. He goes, yeah, there's still some issues. I'm getting conflicting stories. I'm like, oh, okay. He goes, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and stay home. We're gonna try again tomorrow. I'm gonna go ahead and pay you for a non-load today, or pay you for no load today. I'm I'm like, oh, cool. Well, I was like, well, thank you for paying me for not getting a load. You know, basically it wasn't just off unpaid. I was actually getting a paid day off or whatever. So I was like, hey, cool. All right, I'm not going to complain. So, you know, hung out with fam. Went across, basically brought some food home, whatever. Hung out with the wife, whatever. Watched a few episodes. Went ahead and grabbed a few of my drinks since Teddy comes off. So I was like, fuck it, why not, you know? And then was chilling out, whatever. But, so Thursday afternoon, I got a message. Everything's good. You're good to go. I'm like, cool. So I just picked up my daughter from work. When I got that message, and basically we got home and went ahead and finished getting ready and filled up my water bottle and headed out. But it's weird though because last night, or not, well, I say last night, but basically Thursday night for me, since right now it's Saturday morning, you know. So last night, for those of you like my buddy Dave that come in at like 3 or whatever, and I'm like, tomorrow, and I know it's today. I'm like, yeah, but if you work overnight, technically for me it's still tomorrow. Once I sleep and wake up, then it's tomorrow. You know, then it's today. But when I came in Thursday, Lenexa had me dispatched as a bobtail all the way down to St. Louis, and I was like, you know, when I'm dispatched like that, I'm still getting paid for the mileage versus like when I'm told to bobtail but I'm not dispatched, then technically I'm not getting paid for the miles. So I'll take a paid bobtail dispatch. It's fine, you know. I had to call and confirm though. I'm like, so you want me to go to St. Louis bobtail? He was, yeah, because we don't want to lose any equipment, and so it was they'll load you up in Lenexa coming back. I'm like, oh, okay. I thought they were loading me to come back to Lenexa, which basically would be that Lenexa would gain equipment because it would be sending me out with no equipment, bringing me back with equipment. But when I arrived in St. Louis and checked in, basically they had me loaded with a set of doubles going back to Kansas City instead. Like, oh, cool. So I don't have to go to Lenexa and then back to Kansas City. So yeah, fun times. And then, but the inspiration for the topic this week was kind of thinking about it earlier. I made a few stops on my way back from St. Louis tonight, mainly because I didn't, you know, it was a rough morning the other day. Didn't get a lot of sleep. So you know how it is when it gets later and later, you're like, oh, I'm feeling it, and for me, when I'm dead ass tired, a lot of times I struggle a little bit more on those nights with, you know, trying to keep that, you know, keep the spirits up, keep that positive outlook, positive mindset. And little things like, you know, when you feel like you're basically handling a lot of the stuff, you know, for like your, you know, the household or whatever, making sure everything keeps running, and it's like, I know for a fact, like, I have no doubt that my wife can you know, she can handle things, you know, but the way things are currently, I know that because of how much I do, I know if I weren't here, things would fall apart at home pretty quick. Things would be left undone. Stuff would expire that needs to go get renewed or whatever, and, you know, probably at some point, I guess, like the fam, like the wife or whatever, would probably get pulled over or whatever, and then be like really shocked or whatever. I'm like, I got a ticket for expired such and such. Like, what the hell? Like, yeah, you gotta go and renew that, or you gotta go do this, you know. But I was sitting there at one of these when I did one of these pit stops, which one of them on my way back, I was like really wanting to get like an order of like the zesty nachos from Denny's and Flying J. Sorry about that. I had to do a quick pause really quick because it's like all of a sudden I had that itch in the throat. Like, shit. I mean, I'm mostly over the cold, you know, at the tail end or whatever. Still taking cough syrup before I go to sleep, so that way I can get the best sleep possible, and hopefully kick it that way. But so one of the stops, which was a Flying J, to walk to go into Denny's tonight, because I thought, oh, I really want the zesty nachos. It's been a while. It was like 12:45 in the morning, and I know Denny's, majority of them were 24. So I walk in there, and of course, first thing I notice when I get all the way in there is like, lady sitting, one of like the wait staff or whatever. She's got like 4 chairs set up at the front of Denny's, clearly making like a barrier. So I'm like, ah, crap. So I walk back there. I'm like, are you guys closed? She was in like 13 minutes. I thought, oh, okay. I was like, all I wanted was the zesty nachos. Is that possible? She goes, well, like a half or a full. I was like, a full if possible. She goes, let me go ask him. I was like, all right. So there's another guy, like a manager or another worker, that's just kind of sitting up there, and I was just like shooting the shit with him or whatever. And the lady comes back out, and she has the cook with her, and both of them are like, yeah, I'm so sorry, we can't. I'm like, oh, you can't? She goes, no, we've already cleaned the grill and blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, okay, well that's unfortunate, but understood. Have a good night. Have a good rest of your day. I was like, well, that sucks. Especially because I'm thinking like, I'm not trying to order anything like elaborate, but I know technically you gotta have like the meat or whatever for the zesty nachos. And I don't know how that works. I mean, I'm assuming they put some meat on the flat top and brown it up and add whatever seasonings to it to turn it into the taco meat for the zesty nachos. The rest of it's like cheese, and pico de gallo, and tomatoes and whatever. I don't know. Shredded cheese or whatever. I'm not sure exactly what's all on it. I just know that it's damn good. But so I was like, okay, well that's no big deal. I was like, I should have got her earlier, I guess. No worries. So continued down the road, and I ended up stopping at a Quick Trip. Figured hit the bathroom. Figured I know they usually got stuff on the rollers, so I'd get either a couple taquitos or something. Ended up getting 2 egg rolls, and I went with one of their little Dorito packages that's the taco salad or the walking taco, which they didn't. Their chili dispenser was either out or not working, but the cheese one was. So it's like I basically had a bag of Doritos that was smothered in cheese. And then 2 egg rolls. It's like, yeah, that works. I can live with that. It's enough to get me by until I get back home. But when I got out of the truck, and I'm thinking, because I'm always like, I don't know about you guys, any drivers out there, but it's like I'm trying to explain to my wife a little bit how, like, I might message her or whatever, and I might hear back. It might be a while before I hear back, but I know that she has her best friend, and he lives in Texas or whatever. There's a history with that one. But that's all I'm gonna say without really going into detail there. But like, they make it a daily thing where like she'll come home from work and they do a video call, whatever. And then or they'll text throughout the day, like I'll be home watching episodes with her, and I'll notice that she's texting back and forth with him, and it's like so I've tried, you try to kind of explain to people that don't understand the life out here. Because hell, like, a part of one of the arguments way back, like years back or whatever, when we were going through some stuff that had to do with that guy, best friend of hers, the assumption was, well, Chris just really loves to be out on the road, he's afraid of you and wants to be gone. And I was like, that's bullshit. Like, I've never wanted to go out here. Like, I love my job, don't get me wrong. Like, I do this because it's like, what did Jeff Dunham say when he was using like the one of his puppets, He's like, why do you do what you do, Jeff? And Jeff's like, well, because it's the best way I know to make money. And Peanut's like, you a hoe. And Jeff's like, well, what if I say I do it only because I enjoy it? You a dumb hoe. But that's pretty much the way it is for me out here with this job. It's like I wouldn't want to if I have to work. I do not want to go and clock in somewhere. Really don't like being around too many people at once. I was like, I could be around a couple people, or like one or two people, or a little small group. It's not a big deal, especially if we're interacting, we're talking, whatever. But one of the things this week, the last couple days, is like, the wife has been like, "Are you gonna be going with me?" I'm like, "You're gonna have to give me a little bit more than that. Like, what are you talking about?" She's all, "My employer is having a holiday party this Saturday. We talked about this like a little while back, but you haven't told me if you want to go or if you're gonna try to get the day off." And I'm like, "Well, it's a Saturday, and I technically work, and it's peak, so like I don't really want to request time off because I don't, want to be, I don't want to look bad or whatever." One sec, guys. Taking a little sip real quick here. Got that itch in the throat going on again. But so I hesitated with that one for the last couple days, up until literally like late last night while I was halfway to St. Louis. Hey, coming up on a way station, what do you know? Pretty soon we'll hear the Mario theme. Just kidding. A little shout out to Dave anytime when it does its thing, which you guys should probably hear in a second. Because I'm 2 miles out from it. I'm like, da 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 da. Dave's like, neater, neater, neater. Just kidding. Any other Mario fans out there? But here we go. Let's see. Let me give it a minute. Otherwise, it'll chime in the background while I'm talking. So it's like I'm giving you a second to let it do its thing. Pretty sure it's closed, so we should hear the little bypass signal here in a minute. Whoop whoop! Don't know if you guys heard that. Yep, it's closed. That's why we're getting the bypass. Out here along 70, these way stations roughly around where I'm at. Sometimes they end up having like they're calling. It's like they're calling all the trucks in. So I'm thinking, oh crap, they're doing inspections. But then it's like, they're pulling everybody on the scale, but then the scale light stays green, and it's not showing your the weights on the different axles. And like 1 or 2 trucks will go through the scale and turn to go back around the back. And I'm thinking like, oh, they must have motioned for them to go back there to get inspected. But then they just go and park, and I don't see another car there, and I don't see anybody actually sitting inside. So I guess sometimes they just have the station open, but nobody actually like attending it. Like we're just supposed to pull in there, and I'm like, I'll go buy it if I get the bypass, but sometimes it'll be open like that, and it'll be enter unless closed. Like crap. So I'm like, well, okay, I guess I'll go in here. But so I got to Quick Trip, and I was kind of thinking, when I got out, about like, there's so many things. Like I have so many like ambitions and things that I want to do. Like obviously I plan to retire myself, be able to like not have to come out here and work while still being able to financially support the family, whatever. But I also have other things like there's book projects that I have written, mostly written. Like I think 1 or 2 are like 75% completed. One of the volumes for that's volume 1 for Storytime Friday is pretty much done. It just needs to be like finalized, like formatted, edited, wrap it up with a bow and basically publish it, Volume 2, I've got a couple stories in that one, so it's got a little ways to go. But my hope with those is to get through like the second and third volume, so I have 1, 2, and 3 completed before I work on. All right, now let's figure out how to publish these and get these available, to people online. Be able to advertise them on the episodes to let you guys know, like, hey guys, anybody who wants to get a copy of the Storytime Friday volumes, go to, I don't even know what I'm going to call the link, probably like logishow.com/storytime or something, or /volumes or something, I don't know. I'm working on it, but then there's other, like, I'll be outside the truck thinking about all this stuff, or going down the road thinking about all this stuff, and then, thinking about, like, that's why part of the topic was, like, you have goals, wishes, and dreams, or whatever, but you may not know 100% what those all are. The reason for it being worded that way is because, there's so much, I feel this ambition, like, there's so much I want to do, so much I want to accomplish, so much I want to get to the point where, like, things are good, life is good, money is, I got time freedom, financial freedom, and I know it's not just with, like, the books, and I know, like, right now I'm not entirely sure with which side gigs technically are going to be the ones that are going to, like, get me there. I know that I'm going to get there, and I know I have a few, there's a handful of options, things I'm working on. It's just a matter of, part of it is, like, you think about everything you want to do, but then you're thinking, like, man, I just don't have I barely have any time to do shit. Because I'm only off for a 34-hour break, and when you're off for that literally like a day, it's like, depending on how free you are during that time frame, it's really hard to motivate yourself to, like, all right, well, I've only got, because you're not awake for the full 24 or 34 hours. Part of that is you're sleeping, obviously, and then you're with the fam for a little bit, and it's like, there's just not an abundance of time to be able to sit down and say, I'm gonna get some stories written, I'm gonna get this accomplished, I'm gonna get that accomplished. Hell, I can't even really schedule appointments too much, as far as, like, medical appointments or whatever, because I work Monday through Saturday. The only way for me to do it, which I already kind of figured when I switched my VA primary care up here to Missouri instead of Nashville. Yes, my primary care for the VA is down there in Nashville, even though I get all my prescriptions delivered. So, like, I don't have to physically be there. They literally mail any of my refills. They just show up at the door, a little packet on the front porch. So, like, I like that. Versus, like, the wife having to go in there to physical clinics to get seen, and then having to actually go physically to the pharmacy or whatever. Even though I know non-VA, like civilian prescriptions, I know there are services that you can have your scripts delivered. I've done them before I started going to the VA for my care. So, but it's just like, I'll find that, like, I'll be out of the truck and I'll be thinking about, like, man, I can't wait till I'm here, or I can't wait till I'm doing such and such. But then I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't even know what I'm going to, like, what path I need to take to get to that point. Like, I know where I want to be. I know how I want my life to be. But it's hard to say, like, hey, I'm going to follow this path that's going to get me there. Because I know my current path of working full-time doing my trucking job, I know that's not necessarily going to get me where I want to go, but it's it's a means to an end. I don't plan on doing this for the next 30 years because health-wise, I don't think I would last that long. I don't know if any other drivers out there, if you're busy as hell and you're thinking, like, man, this job is going to be the death of me. Like, yeah, it probably is. But maybe not. Because, I try to do, that's why when I'm off, I try to do what I can to let loose, unwind, and kick back or whatever, and you just do the best you can, you know. Like, get a couple drinks if that helps, go to a movie if that helps, watch Netflix, whatever. You know, just some kind of routine that helps you to kind of like reset a little bit. May not be perfect, but you know, that's why I said, like, if you take vacations, even if you can't afford to do it, figure it out and just take vacations. Like, go take a trip. I'm starting to plan those myself. I want to start getting down there to see my parents in Oklahoma or whatever. And I'm not talking about a day or two. I'm talking about, like, all right, I'm going to plan for taking the actual work week itself off, go down there for the majority of the week, and then when I come back home, be like Friday, I have Saturday, Sunday off, come back in and start again on Monday. And I keep flip-flopping because part of me, when I'm thinking about that, because I'm gonna, you know, if anybody asks my wife, I am definitely an overthinker. But I guess that makes it, you know, pretty easy for me to do these real talk and do this podcast and these real talk episodes, because, you know, there's always something that I'm thinking about, whether it's goal related or whether it's like finance related or, you know, something with the fam, or hell, it's like there's quite a few days lately that I kind of think a lot about my co-hosts for my different segments, for like Raw Chat and for the Keeping It Real segment. I do want to throw this out there. If anybody that is listening to this, if any of you guys are the truckers that have jumped on the Raw Chat episodes, I'm out here Monday through Saturday, typically between 5 p.m. and I'm usually getting back to Lenexa by like 4-ish, and I'm getting back to Kansas City between 5 and 6. So if any of y'all want to actually like connect and basically jump on a call, and then, hey, we'd have an episode recorded, you're welcome to as well. It doesn't have to go through Dave, but if you guys, if that's anything that any of y'all want to do, if you're like, hey, why aren't we connected on the phone lately? It's, well, I mean, I just figure that Dave gets busy, you know, because there'll be like 2 weeks I don't hear from him. So he's like, you could text me. I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, you can text me too. Like, let me know, hey, you're out. Like, yep. That's why I try to put out my schedule. Like, this is when I'm working. I'm out here till from this time. But if you guys want to connect, if you guys aren't getting on the phone with Dave, Dave has said that he'll actually give the phone number that we connect on my Google Voice line or whatever. He said he's willing to actually give that out to anybody who wants it or whatever, because you guys can reach out to me and text me and be like, hey, this is so-and-so, we chatted on the Raw Chat segments or whatever, like, hey, you up for a call? I'll be like, yeah, sure, go ahead, let's do it. You guys would call and hit record, we'd be off and rolling, you know. Especially if it's like, hey, Janelle, you know, or John, you know, if you guys are on a phone, like already on a phone call with a couple other people, and you guys want to connect with me, and we have all the gang on there except Dave, you know, if he's busy or whatever, hey, go for it, you know. And same thing out there, like, you know, on the Keeping It Real segment with Rico and Barry, I'm kind of being the squeaky wheel with them. Like, I'm the one messaging them and be like, hey guys, like, so when do you guys want to connect? Oh, well, let's set a time and a date. Okay, cool. And then, like, I just don't hear from them. So I'm like, that's kind of why lately I'm kind of leaning towards, you know what, I want to be consistent with you guys. And I want to make sure that I'm at least being able to get a regular Real Talk episode posted. And eventually, obviously, we'll have Storytime Friday episodes coming back or whatever. But I don't want to just go a week or a couple weeks without posting anything, just because, like, I haven't been able to connect with, you know, the Raw Chat people and the Keeping It Real people. You know, like, it happens, you know. So I'm kind of looking at those segments as, right now, they're special segments. Like, obviously, if we can, you know, get calls every week and we start having weekly episodes again, then hey, great. But right now, that's kind of where we're at currently. Is those are still active segments, but they might kind of have an episode here or there that pops in there, and then all of a sudden you have just to keep it real, or a Real Talk Tuesday random topic. That's kind of why it's like I'm trying to, by doing the regular Keep It Real, the Real Talk Tuesday episodes, the random topics, then that's kind of me trying to at least be consistent, even when I don't necessarily have additional content, additional episodes to post. I don't want to just go a while without. So basically, with this week's topic, I was just wanting to throw it out there. Like, can you guys relate to that at all? As far as like, having these dreams and goals, feeling like you have so much further you want to go, so much bigger you want to be so much bigger in life, whatever. But you're just like, yeah, but I don't know what I want to do. It's like you might have some of it planned out, like for me with the books and the side gigs or whatever. But I know there's probably other things that have crossed my mind too. That sometimes I'll be like, oh yeah, that's good. But then other times I might forget about it and be like, what was that I was trying to think of? Or you come across random opportunities that are, they're like, I'm gonna bookmark that because I'm gonna look into that at a later date. Because it might be I come across something while I'm out here working or something. I'll be at a customer and I'm like, I don't have a lot of time to watch this video or to see what this is about. But that's the thing with like, what I said in a previous episode, that not everything is a scam. Yes, there are a lot of scams out there, but unless you're of the mindset where I'm just gonna work my job till I'm 65 or 70 and retire. Okay, that's great. If that's what you want to do, go for it. But if you don't want to do that, if you want to have life a little bit easier, it is possible to do it. It's just you gotta be open to it. I've known people on Facebook and stuff that, like, they're always asking for info and everything, that any opportunities, somebody posted about, hey, send me info, okay, cool. But then, of course, they hear the info, like, oh, sounds like a scam. That sounds too easy. Nobody can make money like that, what? It's like, you can't, but I guess a lot of those people are the ones that, like, they want it easy. Like, they want to find something like, hey, I could just sign up and make a couple $100 on my first day without really posting or saying anything about it. I'm just gonna join and make money, right? It's like, no. If anybody has stuff like that and claims that you're gonna make it rich, the get rich quick stuff, those are scams. Anything that you're gonna make money with, you're gonna have to put at least some effort in it. Whether it's, hey, I'm gonna post in my stories, or I'm gonna post on Instagram or something. I mean, there's so many opportunities out there that, and a lot of them do require that you put an investment in. Could be a couple $100, could be a couple $1,000. But the important thing, especially if you're looking for like a way to make your life even better without having to work the 9 to 5 for the next 30 years, you gotta open yourself up to checking things out and not just be like, oh, that sounds like a scam. Because I mean, it's like the thing with BitHarvest, that I've just gotta change my link on my site, whatever, because something happened with them. I'm not entirely sure what, but I'd withdrawn. I'd gotten a couple hundred here, a couple hundred there, from just the passive mining. Like, it was, I had my units up, and so there are people that said, "Oh, BitHarvest is a scam." Like, no, it's not, bro. Like, it's legit. It's been around for years. Withdrawn a couple times. Otherwise, I just let it stockpile. I was like, I check the balance every couple of weeks and just see where I'm at. But now it's something happened with them. Basically, they're going away. So I don't know I'm not entirely sure what happened with that, but you just pivot. Okay, well, that And there's a lot of other things out there. People that I've known that were in something for like 10 years and they were like, they made thousands on it. And then all of a sudden, that business went belly up, and all of a sudden they're like, well, shit, man, I was making really good money with them. You know, so I was like, oh yeah, you know, it happens. But then there's businesses out there online that have been around for like 10, 15, 20 years and don't appear to be going anywhere now. You know, they're still around. So it's like, you just gotta, that's like I'm always saying on this show, guys, we gotta, like, we haven't failed. Unless you don't fail, unless you quit, give up, and walk away. Anytime you get knocked down and something falls through, we got to, you know, as long as you get back up and keep moving, then you haven't failed. Man, love these construction zones where it's like they got like the barricades on one side, and I got a truck that's like slowly acting like he's gonna pass me on my left side, and I'm like, he's like creeping along. I'm like, dude, if you're gonna pass me, then hurry. Because these barricades and stuff, you're making me a little bit nervous being beside me like that. It's a prime truck, what do you know? That's why the way I look at it in these construction zones or whatever, when they got like the barricades on the line where you're like right next to them, the way I look at it, I'm like, if I'll start to pass another truck, and a lot of times, you know, I'll go to pass him, and I'll kind of get that little like, hey, I don't know if I can do this. I'll slow down. I'll get back behind him. I'm not gonna try to squeeze by him and hope for the best, because all it takes is one little fuck up, and one truck has an issue, and all of a sudden both trucks are entangled in there, and the whole interstate's blocked. I was like, yeah, I'd kind of like to make it home tonight, so I'm gonna let you go ahead. It's all about, like, you know, pushing forward and trying things. You know, like, trying to make a plan, trying to do this, trying to do that. The ones who failed are the ones who get into that mind, not, you know, and being in that frame of mind where you're depressed or you feel like you're struggling emotionally, mentally, whatever. There's nothing wrong with that at all. That's most of us. Hell, that's part of why, you know, like it bugs me when I can't, you know, the fact that I haven't really been able to connect with the Raw Chat peeps or really nail down a date and time with Mary and Rico. But then I thought about it earlier. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to keep chasing them. Like, those segments are active segments. And I'm putting that out there. Barry, Rico, if you guys hear this, man, like, I'll connect with you guys anytime. You guys have to let me know what works for you, because I've kind of told you. You already know, like, my days that I'm working. I'm like, hey, I'll like, we can get on a call anytime during the week. But you guys gotta tell me what works for you. So, because they're all, yeah, just let us know. Yeah, we'll touch base. I'll touch base with Rico, and even if it's just you and I get on a call, and then Rico joins or whatever, I'm like, yeah, that's fine. But then it's been a couple days since I've heard from them again, so it's like, that's why I thought today, I was like, you know what? I think right now the regular thing each week is going to be at least a Real Talk Tuesday random topic, and then going to work on trying to start getting, you know, seeing what I can figure out as far as getting some stories together and start playing. Like, my thought process is I'm not going to like get one and then do a Storytime Friday episode. I'm going to probably get a small collection of them set up and ready to go, so that way all I have to do is like, then I can just, it's what they call that, it's like bulk content creating. You know, I'll get a handful of stories, like four, 5, 6, whatever, and then, you know, I'll start getting episodes recorded, get the Real Talk recorded for 1 week, schedule a Storytime Friday for that week, get a Real Talk for the next week, schedule one of the stories for that Friday, just so I have a couple weeks basically where I'm like, hey, I've already got stuff on the back burner that I can use. So you know, that's the thing. It's like, I'm not just gonna, because if I'm not actively trying to think about how I can, you know, make my dreams a reality, which this podcast is one of my dreams. You know, just like at some point, monetizing it, get merch, getting advertising on here or whatever, basically, because I know that a lot of podcasts, by the time they get to the number of episodes that I have, a lot of times they're like, yeah, we literally live off the podcast. I'm like, that would be great, but I have no idea what the hell to do, like how to get advertisers on here. So throwing it out there, if you have your own podcast and you're monetized and basically that's what you do for a living 100%, I would love to talk to you. Please shoot me an email at watchtheshowpodcast@gmail.com and let's connect so I can get some advice from you, pick your brain a little bit. Because again, I plan to make it happen. I just have no idea what to do to make it happen, and with my limited time off, I do what I can when I'm off. It just makes things a little complicated. There's not a whole lot of time to basically sit around and be like, hey, what do I do? Hell, I don't even know what to research really, because you can get a lot of random results when you just put in like, how do I monetize a podcast? Oh yeah, just seek out advertisers, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, that's great, but how do I do that? Like, where do I go? Like, what do I do? Is there a certain, do I reach out to the advertisers directly? Do I do I have to have a certain number of downloads per week to do it? Because I have regular downloads, but it's not like, and the downloads are really weird too, because some weeks I'll have like an average of like 4 or 5 downloads a day. Like 30 or 40 in a week, and then I've had some weeks where randomly I have like 200 downloads in like the first 3 days or whatever, and it's like I end up the month that I think that happened last month. I had like a couple weeks where I had like 80 or 90 or 120 downloads in one day. So I had like, I think I went from like, I think in that month, I went up like 700 or 800 downloads. And I'm like, holy crap, that was a record for me. I don't even know which episodes are downloaded, because it just shows like the total number. It doesn't show like all of which episodes. I wish it did be like, you had these 80 episodes downloaded, blah blah blah. I'm like, that'd be cool. But so I know that I'm getting somewhere. I know that I'm on the right path. It's just I don't know what all to do to not only just be on the right path, but make to actually like make some stuff happen on the path that I'm on. So again, if you have your own podcast and you're monetized and living off that, and how podcasters actually do that, please send me a message. Love to talk to you. Hell, I would even, if you wanted to give advice to the public or whatever, hell, we can even get on turn it into one of the raw chat, or the, technically it could be a raw chat or a keep it real segment, where basically we're kind of like an interview, but just a talk. That's the thing, get on the phone with Rico for a recording, and, before we started doing the keeping it real segments. He was like, yeah, so you can like interview me or whatever, and I'm like, well, I mean, not really interviewing you, I was like, but just basically we're just keeping it real, we're just having a conversation, whatever. He goes, well, yeah, but technically you're interviewing me to introduce me to people, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, yes and no. So, but I don't know. It's just one of those things where when I thought about it at Quick Trip, and I was like, man, there's so many places I want to go, so many things I want to do in life, especially with the podcast, or just with the time freedom, financial freedom, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, but there's so many things I want to do, but it's almost like you have that, like, I want to do so much, I just don't know what they are. Like, does that make sense to you guys at all? Like, or is that just me? I mean, it could be me just being weird, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm weird. I'm not gonna argue that. I get looks from my kids all the time. Sometimes we'll go to the store or something, and I'll randomly get into a random conversation with somebody or whatever, and we'll start laughing and joking back and forth, and my kid will kind of elbow me. I'm like, oh, that's my cue, I gotta go. Dad, you always like talking to everybody, blah blah blah. I'm like, well, you know, sorry, you know, it's just how I am, you know. It's what I do. So anyway, y'all. So yeah, that's kind of where I was coming from with that topic. You know, it's like goals and dreams and stuff. Play like you want to be somewhere in life, but you're like, yeah, but it's like in your bones, you know where that is. But consciously, you're like, I know I want financial freedom. I know I want time freedom. I know I want to spend time with my family and, you know, enjoy life and not have to work to the bone. But I don't know how, like, the path to actually get to that point, you know? So, but I think I'll leave you guys on that note, whatever. But yeah, just keep, you know, just no matter what you do, guys, if you're the, if you can relate to what I'm talking about tonight, just don't quit. You know, just keep at it and stuff. Keep pushing forward. Keep believing. Believe you can. Believe you will. And you're already halfway there, and then you just have to go out there and do it. And we only quit, or we only fail if we quit, give up, and walk away. So as long as you keep getting back up, you know, when you see those like those fights or whatever, where they knock somebody down, like stay down, and they slowly drag themselves back to the feet. Damn it! I said stay down. They get up, you know, throw a few more punches, get hit, knocked to the ground again. Stay down. Drag themselves back up again, very slowly. Like, damn it! What are you getting back up for? I said stay down. They get up like, you hit like a bitch. They get knocked to the ground again. It's like, you know, keep getting back up, looking life in the face and saying you hit like a bitch. It'll knock you down again, but then you just get back up again and you try something else. You approach a goal or a dream or something that you're trying to figure out how to make happen. But you approach it maybe from a different angle. You try something else. That doesn't work. Okay, you get back up again. You approach it from another angle. It's like the whole thing with the Thomas Edison, I believe, with the light bulb that I mentioned before on the show, where it's like he didn't find or he didn't fail 1,000 times. He just found 1,000 different ways that didn't work. And it was that 1,001st try that suddenly the light bulb worked, and he was like, "Oh God, hey, I got it." Just found all those ways that didn't work until they found the way that did work. So, gotta just keep making plans, thinking about approaches for those goals. Like, how do I want? Like, hey, I'm gonna approach it this time. I'm gonna approach it today. I'm like, yesterday didn't work. Let's try something new. And then probably one of the biggest advices that I'm gonna be trying to consistently give you guys on the show is basically like, just remember, words have power as well. So like, even when it feels like you're never gonna get where you want to go, like you're probably never gonna accomplish what you want to accomplish, and you get that dread, you know, like that depression and stuff, because you're like, man, am I gonna be doing this the rest of my life? Like, killing myself in this job, blah blah blah. Instead of saying, especially if it's something that you don't know how you're gonna do it, like how you're gonna take care of this obstacle or whatever. Don't say I can't and then give, you know, like I can't do this because it's such and such. I give a reason why I can't do it. Instead, look at that situation that you're stressing about, and say, I'm gonna figure it out. It's like when you're, you know, the paycheck is fully depleted, you pay the bills, whatever. Don't look at your bank account and say I'm broke. look at it basically like, especially if there's things you can't pay at the moment, don't say I can't afford that. Look at those bills and say like it's not in the budget right now, or it's not a priority this week, or like I think one of the things with like Dave Ramsey is like it's when you write out stuff, all your bills on paper first, or spend your money on paper is how he talked about it, and then whatever your paycheck was, you write out all the stuff you're gonna pay, and then once the money runs out, you draw a line, and then everything else gets written below the line. And then basically like bill collector or a bill or whatever tries to call to collect money, you're like, sorry, this week you're below the line. So it's like, just try to speak more positively and try to have more of a positive outlook in your life. And I'm not gonna lie, I struggle with it, like even with trying to be positive and try to be like, all right, things are gonna be good, I'm gonna get there, whatever. Most days I still struggle trying to tell myself that stuff because I'm thinking about how things are currently, how I feel about life in general currently, whether it's financial life or my things with my marriage or relationship with the family in general, or with the lack of time, it's really hard to. Most of it's lack of time, lack of sleep. And, when you're tired, it just makes it worse. I'm sure a lot of you guys out there, a lot of you drivers or whatever, or if you work overnights, and you don't really sleep a lot during the day before you have to go back to work again. I'm sure a lot of you can kind of relate, but like I struggle with that. Like if I'm tired, then it's even harder for me to, try to speak the way I want and think the way I want. Basically, try to keep myself above water and not let myself sink underneath and basically just be like, oh my God, things are hard. Like I'm depressed, don't feel good, whatever. It's like I try my best to try to, think and speak a little more positively, and it's like sometimes it's just hard because like I think being alone basically has that effect too. It's like trying to tell the wife, complaining about her job or whatever, her 8-hour day, and then she comes home and scrolling TikTok or whatever. Like sending all sorts of sending the reels my way or whatever, and I basically joke with her. I said, I wish I had the time to sit around and send all these videos to you or whatever. I was like, I barely have time to watch the ones you send because, So it's like, time freedom is definitely a big thing on my list. Financial freedom mainly because I want to not have to worry about money, eventually. So it's like, all I could do is not let any dark moments of any day get the better of me, and I just keep pushing on. Sometimes I might have to stop once or twice, a little bit extra, to go in and grab a snack or, throw on Spotify or something and start, just singing to some of the songs on the playlist or whatever, And for those of us guys who try to, want to be all tough and, never show emotion, it's okay to cry sometimes too. Even if it's by yourself, you don't have to cry in public or whatever, Just, sing a song that you really feel or whatever, and let it go, And then, of course, before you go out in public, get yourself composed and go back out like you didn't, like nothing ever happened. But before closing, I'm going to throw it back out there again. Janelle, John, Chuck, any of the peeps from the Raw chat, feel free to get the number from Dave and send me a message or whatever. Just give me a heads up so that way I know. Because anybody that calls me on that line, it rings through as if it's ringing through on my normal phone number. So I can't at first tell that it's on the Raw chat line. Until when I answer, then I kind of tell pretty quick because it's different than when you answer on your normal phone number. Because it'll answer and it'll basically be like, call from David Goldberg. To answer, press 1. And so I'll hit 1, which will answer the call. And then, of course, usually when Dave's calling me directly, I'll hit 1, and then I'll hit 4 to go ahead and start the recording. Like, before I even say anything, it'll be like, answer the call, then bloop, this call's now being recorded. That's when he and I are both like, yeah! So, anybody who want, if you guys want to connect, even if Dave's busy or whatever, feel free to reach out. Because we'll get some calls recorded, have some more episodes post. And Barry and Rico, man, just let me know when you guys are, that's assuming you guys listen to these. I don't know. I don't know who all listens, because it just shows me that, hey, you had eight people download today, 7 in the United States and 1 in Germany. Like, whoever's in Germany, I really appreciate you. I think you've been the same person that's been with me for a while. Because I've had Germany download pretty much consistently for probably since the beginning. So, but anyway, guys, on that note, keep doing what you gotta do. Never give up. Anybody who would like to support the show, please feel free to go to blogtheshow.com/support. And again, anybody who has their own podcast, and you guys that's all you do for a living, I would love to connect with you. Drop me a line at blogtheshowpodcast@gmail.com. But aside from that, I think that'll be it for this week. I was planning to do this recording, or I thought about doing this recording a couple days back, and then basically on this recording being like, so if you're listening to this and this is the only episode that posted, then I haven't been able to reconnect with everyone else. But hey, if you're listening to this episode, and you see a couple episodes that are posted with this as well, then guess what? Surprise! But being tonight is Friday night, going into Saturday. Oh, that's one thing too that with the wife's holiday party or whatever, there's a part of me being that I don't really want to hang out with big crowds. I kind of blew it off a little bit. She's like, well, do you not want to go? I was like, I don't know. I was like, I gotta talk to my manager to see if I even can. And then I think yesterday, before I went to bed, my youngest was like, well, yeah, Mom talked to Allie about, hey, you're my backup +1 at the holiday party. And so I called my wife, and I was like, so is Allie going with you then? She goes, well, no, I'll just talk to her because, I didn't know, I have no idea if you're going, and I don't want to go by myself. So I'm like, okay, well, I was like, he said there's, drinks involved and stuff, and it's it's downtown Kansas City. Is I don't really, supposedly there was the option for, back in November, supposedly, that they were offering, $160 credit for, to get a hotel room or to have an Uber. And I'm like, because we could get an Uber, I would have done it in a heartbeat. I would have basically yeah, let's do it. But I thought she told me it was $50. $50 towards a room or $50 towards Uber. And I'm like, that's not going to cover shit. That's I mean, that'll cover maybe an Uber there. Maybe, I don't know. But it won't cover a hotel room. Unless it's a Super 8 or something. And I was like, I don't think I want a hotel room. I think I want to just go to the party and then come home and just relax at home. Don't get me wrong, I love random staycations where you can go get a hotel room and basically just lay in bed in the hotel and not have to do shit for a day. But got the fam at home, I'd rather go home and hang out with them. So keep doing what you're doing, keep pushing forward, believing, and being positive. Speak, try to think and speak how you want your life to be, and don't let it get you down when you have those random days where you just don't feel like doing shit. You feel like giving up, feel like just calling it quits, even though you're not gonna. It's just a matter of just the weight you're carrying, or maybe you're tired or something. So we got this, guys. Just keep doing it, But on that note, you guys have a great rest of your week. Thank you for hanging out with me this week. And I will talk to you guys on the next one. Have a good one.